Okay, future page popping in here, real quick, to say that this video is so fast, and I'm sorry about that. It's because it was like 4 hours of footage condensed into a 15-minute video, so I recommend that if you want to see the detail, you watch it at half speed, but I beg of you to mute it, because I hate my voice as it is. I cannot imagine the old man catastrophe that it would sound like at half speed. Hey guys, it's Paige, or Duchess Celestia, and as promised, this video is going to be discussing what not to do when selling at conventions, and the next one will be discussing what not to do as an Artist Alley customer. I don't want to focus too exclusively on Artist Alley and convention experiences because I know it's more of a niche aspect of the art community, and not everyone's interested in that. So after these two videos, I'll be moving more towards the general art commentary sort of thing, and things that apply to more aspects of the community. That said, as I do have a lot of experience with Artist Alleys in particular, this definitely won't be the last time I talk about it either. It just won't be the primary focus of the channel. As always though, let's talk about what I'm drawing today first. Actually, before we get into that, let's talk about how I'm drawing it. Because, as I said I would, I have finally switched over to a proper recording method rather than time-lapse. So you do get to see my actual drawing in this one. Zoomed in, the process, all of it. But I have some serious fucking beef with Record It after this because, oh my god. You'll notice that the first part of me coloring, the flat color of Henri's yukata, it's gone. It doesn't exist because the clip that I saved of that was just completely corrupted. There was absolutely nothing that could be done to save it. It crashed everything that I uploaded it into to edit, and I emailed them, got nothing back. It's gone. It cannot be saved. It's just not there anymore. And more than that, not only did I have a plethora of other problems, the quality of the clips is fine. It's great. And it's easy to use, everything else. I'll continue to use it. But that's largely because of my second problem with it, which is that it forces you to buy Pro, and by tricking you into it. So it doesn't tell you that you can't actually save a clip that's longer than half an hour without Pro until you've recorded a clip that's over half an hour and you want to save it. It doesn't advertise that, and admittedly, I should have checked first. I'm really new at this. It's not their fault that I'm new at this. But when I finished like this hour and 47-minute clip of me drawing this, only to see, yeah, you have to pay $7 to be able to download it. I had a small aneurysm. But that aside, let's talk about the art. This piece actually was not even vaguely on my to-do list, but I rewatched episode 12.5 of Durarara recently, and I love that episode. It's absolutely one of my favorites, and I love the scene where Mikado, Kita, and Henri are all standing on top of the slide at the park. It's just a really cool looking scene with dramatic lighting, rad composition, all of which is absolutely my jam. And their part of that episode in and of itself just makes me really happy. Like, they're bonding, their vibes, it's good. It's good stuff. Would recommend. So naturally, I abandoned any semblance of organization in my art and started sketching this almost immediately. I will get back to the list after this and maybe do some sticker speed paints while I work on those? Question mark? They would be like regular videos, just a bunch of sticker designs combined in one speed paint. Let me know if that sounds vaguely entertaining or if you'd prefer the standard print stuff that I've already been doing. Anyway, Jesus, I go off on so many tangents. Okay, Artist Alley. I have a million pet peeves about both Artist Alley artists and customers that have developed and festered over the years, and some of these tips are going to be about those, but a lot of them are also just mistakes that I've made and learned from. So if you do any of these things, please don't take this as any kind of a personal attack. I've done a lot of them too, and it's more from a place of, this didn't turn out well for me, please don't do it, than anything. That in mind, let's start off the shit list by splitting it into two main categories. Stuff that relates to your setup and products, and stuff that relates to sales and how you interact with customers. We'll start with the first one first, because it's first. Okay, setup and products. The first thing that you absolutely should not do as a convention artist is have a gigantic and super unstable setup. Like, I'm not saying your setup can't be large. Like, obviously I understand that if you have a lot of stock to showcase, you're gonna need a lot of room in which to do so. But I mean the leaning towers of Artist Alley tables. I mean the tables with PVC pipe displays that are so flimsily put together and with so much shit on them that if you breathe too closely to it, it'll waver and give you a small heart attack because, oh god, if that thing falls, heart problems aren't even the most urgent resulting issue. To be clear, I'm not saying don't use PVC pipes. Any kind of display can be just too fucking big to be viable for a 6-foot table, regardless of what it's made of. The problem is that when your table isn't sturdy because it's either too big or too poorly constructed, you're taking a lot of risks not only for yourself, but for the people around you. Having your entire setup fall down in the middle of a convention because a customer or other artist bumped into it a tiny bit risks your safety, your customer's safety, and the safety of the artists around you. And also, your sales. A lot of conventions actually have staff looking around at tables for this reason. before the alley opens at all. But some are a little too lenient, I found. And I've personally had 2 table neighbors with displays like these have them fall down multiple times during both setup and the convention itself. And it knocked down and damaged my stock in the process as well. It also dislodged parts of my display and gave me a small heart attack. It drives me fucking crazy. Artist alley tables are like dominoes, and if one starts falling over, a lot of them are gonna fall over. If you have to actually tell other artists to be super careful around your table or worry when any customer touches it too much or bumps into it, your display is not good. It's just not good for anyone. I'm sorry. On that note, if your display is so big that it obscures your face and customers can barely see you, that's not good for business. This is the #1 pet peeve that I've heard from customers, both in person and online. And while I know it's frustrating to not have enough space to display everything that you want to, it's better to put some prints in your portfolio rather than up on your display if it means making sure customers can actually see you in order to interact with you. This is one that I've done a lot in the past, and it's been really hard to go from being able to display all of my prints to eventually having so many that I have to choose which ones to display and which ones not to. And I very frequently chose to display more around where my table mate and I were, and I have regrets now. Last main point regarding the setup itself. One big thing not to do is have a display that's messy, unorganized, or doesn't represent your brand. The first 2 are pretty self-explanatory. Just try to make sure that everything is displayed visibly and cleanly. And if you have a lot of merch, just try to avoid things being too cluttered or crowded. Especially with wire cubes, you can build your display with shelves as well, which can make it easier to avoid having too much stuff just thrown on the table itself. But regarding the last point, branding. For example, if your logo and stock are super pastel, having an all-black table display, it just doesn't really make sense. Even if you're just throwing in a few color elements that represent your brand, it's better than having your merch and overall aesthetic clash with your table. The more your table reflects your work, the more memorable and recognizable it'll be. The rest of my don'ts for this section are less about the setup itself and more miscellaneous. Like, still about the table, just not totally random, but miscellaneous. First off, you can't rely too heavily on the convention venue or staff for shit that you're gonna need for your table. If your display needs tape or scissors, bring tape or scissors. Artist alley staff are not obligated to give this shit to you, and while some might out of the goodness of their probably already exhausted hearts, you shouldn't count on it, and it's also kind of rude to them. They need the tape and scissors. They have other artists asking for this stuff too, and they have actual jobs to do in Artist Alley that don't involve bringing you stuff that you forgot. I know this sounds harsh, and trust me, I have been one of those assholes to take the walk of shame to ask con staff for tape because my dumbass forgot it. So I'm not judging you if this is just an accidental mistake that you happen to have made. I've been there, I feel you. But do your best to bring this stuff because you'll inevitably need it, and it's on you if you don't have it. Regarding reliance on the venue, what I mean primarily is not to rely on the convention to provide you with electricity. Some cons will charge you extra for a table near an outlet, and that's one thing. Like, obviously, if you've specifically requested a table with electricity and received confirmation that you absolutely will receive it, yeah, you can count on that. But if you're just assuming that you'll have access to an outlet or hoping for the best, that's not great. Whether it's your display itself that needs electricity, like lights or monitors, or you just need to charge your phone or tablet, always count on not having that provided by the convention. Bring a portable charger, don't rely on those aspects of your display, or just find powerless alternatives. I've seen artists show up and actually ask convention staff to let them switch tables with someone near an outlet, like the day of the convention, because it's clearly that simple. Last in this area is to keep your table clean. Obviously, you're going to end up eating at your table and generating some amount of garbage, but make sure that you either have a place on your table that customers can't see where you keep it, or that you have a garbage bag under your table for that. Like, it's not a great look to have the extensive coffee cup graveyard that you needed to get through the Artist Alley shift visible to everyone. And finally, don't leave your merchandise where it's out of your line of sight or easily stolen. It can be great to let customers touch stuff, they love that, but the more freedom you give them with that and the less supervision they receive, the worse off your stock will be by the end of the con, when those assholes have looted your bowl of buttons while you were making a sale. Alright, next section. The sales and customer service side of things. To start, please don't play loud music at your table. In my opinion, you shouldn't play any music at your table, but if you won't listen to that, just don't play loud and obnoxious shit. It's disruptive, rude, and even if you do manage to draw in customers who like the music, you'll be driving away an equal amount of customers who are annoyed by it. Also, your table neighbors absolutely 100% hate you. Next, don't be too pushy with customers. You should always be greeting people who stop by your table, but don't aggressively try to sell your products to the point that you're telling them about every deal or sale that you have, or listing every piece of merch that you think they might be interested in. Obviously, you can upsell. Like, for example, if you see someone with a bag that has a lot of pins on it, you can offhandedly mention that you have pins available, or casually throw in that you have merch of the character someone is cosplaying. But don't be like, hey, you like that print? It's $20. You could get it for $15 if you bought 2 though. Or check out these pins. I have commissions open too. Hey, look at this. It's even worse if you actively call the person you're talking to over without them even having been looking at your table. It's abrasive, and it makes people uncomfortable more often than it actually makes people buy stuff. And more on how you talk to customers, try not to have super long conversations with them. Honestly, conventions are a really great place to meet really cool people, and especially if you meet a customer who likes all the same stuff you do, it can be really easy to get talking with them and not so easy to actually stop. But if you're talking to any customer for longer than 2 minutes when other customers are around, you're giving off the impression to people who might actually want to buy something that you're too busy or preoccupied. It can be uncomfortable to try to interrupt an artist who's talking to someone when you want to buy a thing, and if the person isn't super assertive by nature, they might just leave instead. Similarly, if you're drawing at your table, it can have the same effect. People might not want to interrupt an artist who's really into whatever they're working on, and it also might be seen as standoffish if you're so involved in your art that you won't even look up at them and greet them. While drawing at your table can draw customers in and make them want to see what you're working on, and can also be inevitable if you're taking on-the-spot commissions too. You have to make sure that you're still stopping long enough to make eye contact with every customer and give them a quick greeting. You don't have to stop drawing while they're looking at your table, but engaging with them and giving them your attention shows them that you're not too busy for them if they want to buy something or ask a question. Eating at your table can also make customers feel like they're interrupting if they talk to you, and while you're obviously going to have to eat at your table at least once a day, you should try to either eat something that you can snack on gradually and stop eating whenever you have a customer, or eat as quickly as possible during downtime. Conversely, this can also be one of the many unending benefits of having a table mate, because if you and your table mate take turns eating, one of you can be engaging customers even when the other is eating, which is ideal. Ultimately, the most important thing here is that you not appear too busy, uninterested, or cold with your customers. You have to find a balance between overly conversational and pushy, and either quiet and standoffish, or super busy with other stuff. The way you present yourself is important when it comes to making customers feel comfortable. And the more comfortable a customer feels, the more they'll talk with you. And the more a customer talks with you, the more of a connection is built, and the more likely they are to either make a purchase or recommend you to others. Finally, don't leave early. I see artists do this all the time. There will be anywhere from an hour to 15 minutes left of the artist alley day, and people will just pack up and leave. I don't mean on the last day of the convention either, like when they need to be going home. I mean there can be 2 days left of the con, and these artists will still leave early and in a rush. Not only is it almost always a violation of your artist alley contract with the convention, you're throwing away sales, especially the people who have put off making a purchase and are now going around to buy the shit they've been meaning to. And you're leaving your table open to be stolen from. It's unprofessional, it's poor financial decision making, and depending on the convention staff and how early you leave, it could actually have real consequences. Okay, oh my god, I think that's everything. This is one of those things that you'll be thinking of for the entire convention, and then the moment it's over, you forget everything that you were passionately ranting about as quickly as you thought of it. That's also the case for my next video focusing on the customer side of things, so please check that one out when it's posted to enjoy more glorified pet peeves and me forgetting half of what I aggressively wanted to talk about. Do you guys have any big don'ts or pet peeves for Artist Alley artists? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video.